Good morning to all of you. So today we are going to start with lecture number 19. It is the last day of the month April, Friday. So tomorrow morning we will be having another session. What we are going to do today is we are going to continue with module number 3. And we started with module number 3 and we had seen the electrochemical batteries and its types. So this was a topic we had started last day. So there are 4 energy generation techniques that we could find in module number 3. I'm afraid the chapter is little theoretical and it requires it is actually including a lot of electrochemistry and other things. So it is mainly very basics of chemistry, electronics, and like that. So no complaints, but books and all these things are there. This slides and notes, all these things are made fairly. It will be given to you. So far, whatever lecture has been conducted, all the slides, all the PPTs have been uploaded in the Google Classroom for the first 18 sessions. Okay, so this PDF is also I have uploaded it yesterday night. This PDF is also uploaded. So after this lecture, I will upload the lecture session link. So we have seen what is the necessity of batteries in the vehicle. So batteries are mainly the source for all the energies in the electric vehicle or hybrid vehicles. Generally, in case of petrol engine, that is SI engine, battery is used at the starting part very much. So that is the main job. There are a lot of other jobs, but main job of the battery is to supply the charging current. And last day we have seen that there are mainly 3 ampere hour ratings. So the initial ampere hour, then there is the reserve capacity. For 1 hour we test the battery. For initial charging we test the battery for 20 hours. That is a nominal charging. So 44 ampere hour was the output. Then we had tested for 1 hour. So 25 ampere output we had got. And finally we had tested the battery for cold cranking ampere. That was for 1 minute and we got around 170 ampere. So batteries are tested for different kinds of stress in cold countries wherever the initial requirement from the battery is too much. Today, what then we had seen 2 specifications, actually 3 specification: electrochemical reaction, thermodynamic voltage. Electrochemical reaction is about 2 electrodes are there, then there is an electrolyte, and how they are mixing to produce the energy instead in electrochemical reaction. And then we had seen what is meant by thermodynamic voltage. That is whatever voltage is created due to this electrochemical reaction. How much was that? That was discussed during thermodynamic voltage. Very 2 important characteristics of the battery are specific energy and specific power. We will see that in case of electrical vehicle EV, specific energy is a very important thing. Whereas we found it was discussed that for hybrid electrical vehicle HEV, specific power is a very important thing. So what is the difference between energy and power? Generally, energy is given in joules, okay, joules, and joules per second. That's power that is given by watts. So there's a definition of energy and power. So for battery, how much energy is it gives, specific energy, and specific power, how much it gives. So specific energy is very much important in case of EV, and specific power is very much important in case of HEV. So specific power is generally related to if you are giving one charge, then how far it can go. That is actually specific power. And specific energy means whatever reactants we have inside the battery, okay, or you can say a total weight of the battery. Okay, with respect to that, if the battery weight is 5 kg, then how much kilowatt hour it is producing. Okay, so with respect to the whole weight of the battery, how much energy it is producing, that is given specific energy, watt hour per kg, and specific power is watt per kg. So watt hour per kg, if you divide by time, then you are getting watt per kg. That is nothing but specific power. So these were the fundamentals which were discussed last day, but the specific energy thing was not discussed in detail last day. So I'll start with the same thing, specific energy. Then there comes specific power, energy efficiency, different battery technologies. So there are mainly 3 battery technologies we will be discussing today. They're all theoretical kind of thing, more informative. But what things are we are looking for? Okay, That thing I will tell you. So it is not difficult, it is easy, mainly information based. You have to just keep on seeing the things, you have to just keep on looking for the data details. But exactly which battery is used in which case and why, what is meant by sealing of the battery, what is meant by unsealed battery, okay, what are the specifications. So all those small things is very important. Stay in the lecture, we will be discussing all those things time to time. I'm starting with the same specific energy. So this is, you can find in page number 347 in the book of Ehsani. So this thing was discussed last day. The energy of in a battery can be expressed by the Gibbs free energy. So what is Gibbs free energy? This thing we have seen in electrochemical voltage or thermodynamic voltage. So with respect to, so Gibbs free energy is given by delta G. So this is actually defined how much voltage we can obtain from a battery. Now every battery, whenever we are studying, it's having an open circuit voltage. Please remember those values. Something is having 1.37, some cell is having 1.07, some cell is having 1.83. So those are the things we need to remember. How much is the open circuit voltage for each of the battery? So there are different technologies, we have to remember that. So specific energy is defined as the energy capacity per unit battery weight, and that weight includes its casing and non-reacting components, all other things. Some water, some reactants which are not being used. So all those things are coming into picture. So there are a lot of things inside a battery which is not producing energy. But that is there. That is adding to the weight of the battery. Okay. So with respect to the whole battery, how much is the weight and how much energy it is producing? That ratio actually, energy by weight ratio, is giving the specific energy of any battery. So this is a specification of a battery. Now theoretical specific energy, we say specific energy or theoretical specific energy. Actual specific energy is little less than that. Okay, but theoretical specific energy on pen and paper we can calculate. So it is the effective weights, molecular weights of reactants and products that are involved in designing a battery. That is actually the theoretical specific energy, given by this formula, minus delta G divided by 3.6, all the weights together. So that Mi is giving all the weights. Now delta G we have seen in the thermodynamic voltage, we had substituted it by NFVR. And what is N, what is F, what is VR, all these things we had explained. So N is nothing but that number of electrons, F is Faraday's constant, all those things we have seen. This Mi is an important thing. Okay, summation of Mi is a sum of, so there are different types of molecules. So it's a sum of the molecular weight of the individual species involved in the battery reaction. Okay, so only the things which are taking part in the reaction that are taken here. Unit is very much important, watt hour per kg. Watt into hour. Watt is nothing but joules per second. Whenever you are doing watt into hour, that means joules per second multiplied by time. That means you are getting joule. Actually, this is joules per kg, but it is given in watt hour per kg. Taking the lead acid battery as an example, so the same slide was shown last day. So taking the lead acid battery as an example with VR is equal to 2.03 volt. Remember how much is the voltage. For lead acid battery, the open circuit voltage is 2.03 volt. N is equal to 2. We have taken 2 electrons, and summation of all the reacting molecular components, it is 642 gram. We can calculate, so substitute all these top line values in this formula, and you find that the specific energy of lead acid battery is 170 watt hour per kg. This is found from the above formula. Now, what is the specific energy giving us? So, this specific energy is giving us an ideal couple for positive element, electropositive element, and electronegative element. Okay, so how to choose the electropositive element, how to choose the electronegative element, and how to form a couple, a best combination of electropositive and electronegative element that we can find from the specific energy. So which reactants are giving me the best possible output energy, watt hour, okay, that is going to give me the highest specific energy. So that knowledge we can develop. So by trial and testing we can find out what is the best couple. So it is saying that hydrogen, lithium or sodium would be the best choice for the negative reactants, and lighter halogens, oxygen or sulfur are the best choice of positive reactants. So we keep on mixing and matching things so that we are getting highest specific energy from the reaction. So to know that, this theoretical specific energy is having the significance that we have to choose the material in such a way that we are getting highest specific energy from a battery. So put such couples together in a battery requires electrode design for effective utilization of the contained active material. So these are all active material, and electrodes are nothing but the point where the reaction is taking place and all. So choosing electrodes, choosing of electropositive, electronegative materials, all this is an art. Okay, and that should be guided by some guiding parameters, and this is the guiding parameter, theoretical specific energy. And what we are finding is more important thing. What we are finding is as well as electrolytes of high conductivity compatible with the material. So choosing of electrolyte, choosing of electropositive, electromaterial, negative material, choosing electrodes, all these things are guided by the specific energy. Now here you can see a table in the right side. There they have talked about different battery technologies. And you can see the first one is the lead acid battery. So what is the positive, what is the negative? So positive is PbO2, negative is Pb. So this is lead oxide, this is only lead. What is the charge? So this is the reaction, charging reaction, discharging reaction, and how much is the specific energy? That is very important. So 170 watt hour per kg. This is produced by the acidic aqueous solution of uh, in the electrolyte inside the battery. So main thing you have to remember is this is lead acid battery, and this is producing 170 kg watt hour per kg. Then there are coming alkaline aqueous solutions. So they are nickel related battery. So three nickel related battery we are going to see: NiFe, then NiZn is there, then NiMH is there. Okay, nickel cadmium is there. All these things are there, so we'll be seeing it today. So nickel cadmium, the first one. Positive is NiOH, and second negative is Cd. Okay, Cd is nothing but cadmium. So nickel cadmium is most widely used nickel battery. So that is having specific energy as 217. You can find out that nickel zinc is having 341. Nickel hydride, so NiMH, that is giving you 387, very high. And there is another pair O2 and Al that is producing 2815 watt hour per kg specific energy. Likewise, then there are other things. So last one is LiC. This battery is producing 320. So everything you are finding in the range of 200 and 300, that is the best choice. So how much is the specific energy of lithium battery? You are finding here is 320. Nickel related batteries, so they are around 267 up to around 387 or something. So this is the range that you have to remember. Not exact value you can give. Exact value, if you can remember, it's okay. So in interviews they're asking this kind of things. And lead acid battery, that is giving less, that is 170 watt hour per kg. So more than different 30 couples of electrodes have been tried and tested. So research is going on, and they have generated battery systems with reliable, high performance, and inexpensive. So these, every word is very important: reliable, high performance, inexpensive, high power energy source for electric traction. Okay, then which battery is to be chosen? That understanding comes from this discussion, or this parameter is one of the main parameter which is deciding which battery we should go for. Some other parameters are also there, we will be seeing shortly. So theoretical specific energies of superior couples for EV, HEV are given in the table. So table is shown. Now there are two very important lines which I'll read. Practical specific energies, however, are well below the theoretical maxima. So lead acid battery is producing 170 watt hour per kg of reactants. This value is theoretical value. Practically, we might find it go up to 160 or maybe 150. So practical specific energy in real time in the battery, we might find it is little less than the theoretical value. And apart from electrode kinetic and other restrictions that serve to reduce the cell voltage and prevent full utilization of reactants. So there are a lot of electrode kinetics, and there are a lot of other restrictions. So what are other restrictions? We will see in the next slide. They don't allow the energy generation to be the maximum or highest or specific energy. Now there is a very important line at the last which is underlined. There is a need for construction materials that add to the battery weight but are not involved in the energy production reaction. So this is the crux, this is the downside, that lot of material is there in the battery which are to be kept in the battery because of some supporting action or something, but they are actually not producing any kind of reaction. So enhancing the design of the battery, improving the design of the battery can help us reduce all those unrequired component or less required energy non-generating components. That is very much important. So whichever components are generating energy, those components has to be increased reactants, and which components are not generating energy, like casing should not be very high. Okay, whether we have to put a lead cover or not, okay, whatever electrodes we are using, so all should be lightweight and highly active. That is a two contradictory thing, but we have to achieve that. And only research, material research, remember, material research has done all this, you can say, magic. Okay, so previously battery used to give 20%, 30% of energy efficiency, so we could not even think at that time that battery, only one battery could drive a vehicle. But nowadays, last 6, 7, 8, 10 years, battery technology has improved immensely, and it has all happened due to the research and development in material technology. So they are generating materials, they are producing materials in such a way that that is lighter in weight, that may be thinner, but that is with more strength. Okay, so lighter in weight and more reactive. So all those things. So material technology research is at the crux of all this developments and improvements. Now here there is a pie chart given, and it is said that weight distribution of the components of a lead and lead acid EV battery with a specific energy of 45 watt hour per kg. So I think the slide is visible. So here you are finding that at the top there is a gray portion, and this is the only part which is producing energy. So this is all the different components inside a battery, and you are finding there are 5 components you can go through. So the figure shows only about 26%, which is the gray area of the total weight of the battery, which is producing the energy, electrical energy, and they are actually producing the specific energy. The remainder, the number one, what is that? Potential cell reactants that are not discharged at the rates required for EV operation. So there are reactants, but they are not discharged. Okay, so they are kind of in a sleepy mode. Okay, they are not directly taking part too much into reaction, so they are not producing energy. Then there is water in electrolyte. A lot of water is there. They are not taking part into. They are not getting converted into energy. Taking part in reaction is one thing, and directly getting converted into energy is another thing. So water is not getting converted into energy. Current collectors, grids. Okay, so they are the electrodes, current collectors, top lead. Okay, so there is a ढक्कन on the top of the battery. Then there are container and separators. All those things are there. They are actually not generating energy. So this is almost 74%. This white portion, they are the part of the battery, but they are not producing energy. They are just supporting systems. And this is the only 26% of the reactants and all at the top, which is shown, that is only producing energy. So you can find out that only 26% of the total weight is used for producing energy, and remaining things are just there for supporting. So in material research, we have to reduce all this part so that we can see that we only give a pouch of reactants, and that produce energy and drives the car. If that is the case, then that would be the best example. So this is all about specific energy. That is a third battery specification. Let us go for specific power. So you can see here, for HEV application, specific power is of prime consideration, and for specific energy versus specific power for EV application, specific energy is of main consideration. So these two lines, remember, it might be asked in your IEA short question. So for EV, specific energy, that means from how much reactant, how much energy you are getting, that is of prime consideration. And for HEV hybrid, specific power is of prime consideration. So why? Because in case of specific power, all the energy is from the energy source, engine and fuel cell, so and sufficient power is needed to ensure vehicle performance, particularly during acceleration, hill climbing and regenerative braking. So more is the specific power you will be giving, you will be getting, actually not giving, you will be getting more power during hill climbing, acceleration, regenerative braking and all. Okay. So that is actually related to HEV. So very important thing, EV is to specific energy, and HEV requires more specific power. And there is table for this also. So specific power is defined. So one circuit will be shown to you. Specific power is defined as the maximum power of per unit battery weight that the battery can produce in a short period. So whenever I am saying power, That means energy divided by time, joules per second, is called as power. That is watts. Okay. So whenever I'm saying power, that means there must come a time factor. So in a very short period of time, how much energy the battery is producing, that is actually the specific power. So specific power is important in the reduction of battery weight, and especially in high power demand applications such as HEV. So HEV power demand is more than EV. These are the small lines you have to remember. So the specific power of a chemical battery depends mostly on the battery's internal resistance. Now here we are going to discuss a lot about internal resistance of the battery. So we used to see in case of Thevenin's theorem, Norton's theorem, that we are substituting the source with short circuit. We used to say that Thevenin's theorem replace the source with short circuit. Thevenin's theorem replace the current source with open circuit. Actually, that is not the right thing. Right thing is substitute the voltage source and current source with their internal resistance. And we assumed there, without knowing, that all the voltage sources were having internal resistance of 0, R int is equal to 0, and all the current sources were having R int is equal to 0. So that was the assumption we had made in case of when we were in second year network theorems. But here we are finding that battery is a energy source that is not having internal resistance as 0. So we will find that. So chemical battery, so battery is a chemical source that does not have always internal resistance as 0. No. Okay, and that internal resistance plays havoc on the power wastage. So with the battery model shown left, we are finding that the maximum power that the battery can supply to the load is, so from maximum power transfer theorem you had found it out. So VO is the supply, VO is the battery voltage which is generated by the battery. So this is the rated voltage output, and here R internal. So R internal is actually the internal battery resistance which is given here, which is a kind of a variable it is shown, and RC and R load. Okay, so they are the external things. So this is the source resistance RC, and this is R load is the load which is driven by the battery. This can be the motor and all. So what they're saying is RC is the conductor resistance. So from the battery to the load, thick wires are there inside the car that is having some small amount of resistance. Maximum it can be 0.5 ohm. Okay, so wire resistance, you should remember, these questions are asked. Maximum it should not be greater than 0.5 ohm. Okay, that is the RC, that is the internal resistance of the cable. And load, so load can be your motor only. Okay, and transmission and all. So this load is actually a resistive load, and R int actually internal resistance of the battery. So we are finding here P peak, whatever is the peak power output, that is nothing but 4 into RC plus R int into VO square divided by that. So we are finding how much is the maximum output power to the load. Okay, and we know that whatever is the load resistance, if that is equivalent to source resistance. So here source resistance is not only RC, here it is RC plus R int. So if my load resistance is equal to RC plus R int, then maximum power will be delivered at the load. And how much is that power is given by P peak power. So R int is the internal resistance caused by the chemical reaction. Now there are a lot of understanding of internal resistance. Please prepare this slide of specific power very properly. So internal resistance represents the voltage drop delta V inside the battery, okay, which is associated with battery current. So whenever I'm saying that this load is carrying some current, that current is passing through the battery also. But only difference is inside the battery, the current passes from negative to positive, and outside the battery, the current passes from positive to negative. So these are very big fundamentals which are asked in the interviews and you get confused. So inside the battery, current is passing from negative terminal to positive terminal, and outside the battery the current passes from positive terminal through load to the negative terminal. So what they're saying is the voltage drop delta which is occurring inside the battery. So battery is producing energy, but inside the battery due to R int there is a voltage drop, and this voltage drop delta V is called as a over potential. This is the technical name of voltage drop inside the battery. It includes two components. The first one is caused by the reaction activity of the whatever reactants is there, and second one is caused by the electrolyte concentration delta Vc. So what is delta Va? Delta Va is given by A plus B log I, where A and B are the model constants. So whatever parameters you are using for reaction, whichever electrolytes, whichever electrodes, all those things you are using, that is actually deciding what is going to be the value of A and B. And I is nothing but the current flowing through the battery. So A plus B log I. So there might be a table that if you're using this electrode pair or if you're using this electrolyte, then this is going to be the value of A and B. So whatever is the voltage drop inside the battery, that is having two parts. One is given by the reaction activity, another is given by the electrolyte concentration. Okay, so that is delta Vc. Now delta Vc is given by minus RT divided by NF natural log of 1 minus I by IL. Okay, what all things are there? So I is nothing but so this is 1 minus I by IL. Don't confuse, this is not 1 by IL. 1 minus I by IL natural log, that is log base E. And what is R is the gas constant, T is the temperature, N is the number of electrons transferred in the reaction. So it's a electrochemical reaction which is occurring inside the battery. So there is exchange of all those electrons and all. So F is the Faraday's constant, all those things are given. IL is the limit current. So IL is a constant thing for a battery. How much should be the limiting current that is given for the battery? So this VA and VC, they both are together and they are actually constituting how much is going to be the voltage drop or over potential in the battery. Now, why is this thing required? Why is this over potential required? I think you remember this graph which is shown in the right side. You are finding that if we are expecting or if we are extracting 100 amperes from the battery, it can go for some less ampere hour capacity. So more amount of current we are taking from the fetching from the battery can supply that amount of bigger current for lesser amount of time. So this graph was shown last day. So if you are fetching 10 ampere current, let's say the battery will go for 120 minutes. Okay, but if you are fetching 100 ampere current, maybe the battery will run for 20 minutes. Likewise. So this is the factor which is having R int, that is more is the internal resistance. This time will keep on reducing. So this internal resistance R int, which is given by delta Vc and delta Va. Okay, so this R int is actually having a part to play in how much maximum current you can fetch from a battery in a shorter time. So accurate determination of battery resistance or voltage drop. So battery resistance is R int, internal resistance, and voltage drop is delta Va plus delta Vc. By analysis is difficult and is usually obtained by measurement. Okay, so we cannot directly measure it inside the battery, but yes, through some set of measurements we can find out how much is the internal resistance of the battery. So the internal voltage drop across the battery increases with an increase in discharging current. So here the discharging current graph is given. Okay, so high rate of discharge current, low rate of discharge current, all these things are there. Decreasing the stored energy in it. So more is the discharge current, uh, reduction in the energy will happen fast. So in this case where 100 ampere is being taken, here the discharge rate will be faster. Here 10 ampere per 10 ampere current is being fetched from the battery for a longer period of time. Here also discharge current is less. So this discharge current, so how much maximum current that battery can supply when demanded, okay, this is actually inversely proportional to what is the R internal. Because R internal, there is a drop occurring. R internal is inhibiting or intimidating the performance of the battery. So discharge graphs of different lead acid battery discharges are shown here. So here we are finding that this characteristic R int has to it has to play a role in finding how much is the maximum discharge current from the battery. So what is the parameter and where is the bearing of that parameter? So internal resistance is actually causing over potential. Internal resistance is actually restricting the discharge current from a battery when we are expecting heavy amount of discharge from the battery. So there's a specific power. So you can find here there's a specific energy. So lead acid battery, then there is Ni related battery, all those things. So there are different batteries. And how much is the watt hour per kg? So you're finding the lead acid battery is having very less watt hour per kg. So here is a range given 35 to 50. You're finding here alkaline aqueous solution. So this is all the nickel related battery, nickel cadmium, nickel iron, nickel zinc, nickel MH. So we are very going to see shortly all these four parameters. So they are all giving you specific energy in between 50 to 95. So NiMH, we will find this is very latest innovation. So it came into market in 1991 or something. That is having very high specific energy. So NiMH is giving you very high, that is around 70 to 95. And lithium ion, this is giving far higher, so 80 to 130. So these are the three things you have to compare: lead acid, then nickel cadmium, nickel iron, nickel zinc, all the nickel batteries, and finally lithium ion. So we are finding that lithium ion batteries are having very high specific energy. Please remember this factors. Okay, so how much specific energy they are producing. Then how much is the energy efficiency? So greater than 80%. That means wastage of energy in case of lead acid battery is very less. Whereas you are finding lithium ion battery is having greater than 95% efficiency. Okay, so this is very important thing. Whereas nickel cadmium and NiMH are having range in 65 to 75. So these are nickel related battery efficiency. Likewise, and cost you can find lead acid battery is very cheap. So it is 120 to 150 US dollar per kilowatt hour. So for every kilowatt hour energy we are producing, how much is the cost of that? So it is not the cost of the battery, it is the cost of energy production. So whenever you will be using solar cell, so this is given in US dollar, but solar cell, how much is the uh, cost of 1 unit energy? So those who will be working in the field of energy, every time you will be asked that how much is a unit energy costing. So in this case we are finding these are all battery, they are all producing energy. You can see that lithium ion is producing 1 kilowatt hour energy with $200, whereas lead acid battery is cheaper. So energy generation by lead acid battery is cheaper, though it is having less specific energy, less efficiency, but cost of energy production is also cheap. Whereas nickel cadmium and nickel related batteries are having a very high cost. Okay, so that is the downside of nickel cadmium, nickel iron, nickel mh, nickel zinc related batteries. So they're very costly. Lithium ion is the best candidate because this is having high efficiency, greater than 95%. This is having high specific energy. This is having high peak power. So this you can say as specific power. So this column is peak power. Okay, so this is a very important table. This is the slide number 8. A lot of things can be found out from this. A lot of comparisons can be found out from this. So write down that slide number 8, whatever table is given. You can find it in the book of Ehsani also. So these things are very important. So what they're saying is the table shows the status of battery system potentially available for EV. All the specific energies are high in advanced batteries. So which are advanced batteries? This nickel related battery, and most advanced is lithium ion battery. Specific powers must improve. So here specific power has improved, so peak power has improved to 200 to 300. Nickel related batteries, it is also 200 to 300 in NiMH because this is latest. And for lead acid battery, it is 150 to 400. So there are a lot of variants also in the lead acid battery. Okay, so specific power is kind of high. Okay, here you can find. Major manufacturers of nickel cadmium batteries for EV and HEV applications are Saft and Varta. So this Saft and Varta are the two companies. So these names will keep on coming whenever we are talking about batteries. These names will keep on coming. So you can Google with these two names, Saft and Varta. Okay, so they are actually producing batteries for EV and HEV. So now there is a e-wagon channel challenge. A lot of people are designing some vehicles and other parts of the thing. So there you have to choose a battery. And while choosing those battery, all these things you have to take care. What is the specific energy? What is the specific power? And how much is the internal resistance? How much is the cost per energy? All those analysis try to please include in your design. So then it will say that just don't say that we are selecting this battery. So you say that we have selected, we know that these are the 4 batteries and this is a requirement. This is what we want to do. And these are the 4 batteries with this kind of specific energy, specific power. This is the cost per unit energy, and this much is the efficiency. And after comparing all this for our application, we have chosen this battery. So that analysis, that understanding study should be there whenever you are choosing some battery or any component. That thing should be there. So about 300 watt per kg might be an optimistic estimate for this, whatever is the specific energy. This is specific power actually. Watt per kg is the specific power, and watt hour per kg is the energy. So about 300 watt per kg is the specific power. That might be an optimistic estimate for EV and HEV. So this figure is very important. How much is the specific power we want from the EV and HEV battery? So that is 300 watt per kg. However, SAFT has reported that lithium-ion high power for HEV application with specific energy of 85 watt-hour per kg. 85 watt-hour per kg. So watt-hour per kg is the energy. Specific power of 1350 watt per kg. This is very important. So we wanted 300. SAFT has given battery with 1350 watt per kg. So watt per kg is the power, watt hour per kg is the energy specific. So it's high energy batteries for EV application with about 150 and 420 watt per kg, so about 80% state of discharge, 150 ampere current and 30 S. So these are the batteries which are being reported and in the market. So SAFT has again reported another high energy battery for EV which is having 150 and 420 watt per kg. Okay, that is the specific power with 80% state of discharge and 150 ampere current for 30 seconds. So cold cranking ampere is also very high, efficiency is also very high, and specific power is also very high. So whenever you are looking for some component, do a comparison of component, make a table, just see which factor you are asking for and which factor the battery is giving best. And after weighing all those things, then you select the battery. Just don't go for battery blindly. Check all the components and then go for it. So these are the four columns: first column, second column, third column, and last column. Okay, so these are the very important columns. And which are the batteries you should check? Lead acid battery, then nickel, all the nickel groups. So there are four types of nickel related batteries, and finally is the lithium ion battery. So these six types you always should keep track of. Last thing, energy efficiency. So the energy or power losses during battery discharging and charging appear in the form of voltage loss. Okay. So thus the efficiency of the battery during discharging and charging is defined as the ratio of the cell operating voltage to the thermodynamic voltage. So there are two things: operating voltage and thermodynamic voltage, their ratio. So during charging it is V by VO, during discharging it is VO by V. Now the terminal voltage as a function of battery current and energy stored in SOC. So you can find here, this is a graph, very important graph. So this is a graph you have to reproduce in the exam if it is asked. So this can be asked as a 5-mark question, energy efficiency. You can find during discharge. Okay, so during discharge, if you are finding if the battery is having high SOC, so here SOC is there, high SOC, in that case for during discharge efficiency is high. That means if the battery is already having very high state of charge, okay, in that case you are going to get higher efficiency of discharging if a state of charge is high. So this graph, this is a discharge graph, which is saying is if SOC is high, then we are going to get a higher efficiency of discharge. That means the discharge part will be better. That means we will be able to fetch good current from the battery if battery state of the charge is high, like this. And the same thing in case of charging, it is saying that if the battery is low state of charge, so here you can find, this is a graph, this is a graph which is coming from left to right. Okay, so if the battery is having low state of charge, then at the starting of the charging we are going to get higher charging efficiency. What is meant by charging efficiency? How much potential we are inputting and how much energy is being grabbed by the battery. So it is very easy to understand that discharge, what is meant by discharge? How much you can give, how much you can give out. So if you are full, if your state of charge is full from the beginning, hence you can get a better discharge. So efficiency of discharge means how much you can give. Okay, so it is in this region. How much you can give depends on how much you have. So if you have more, have state of charge more, in that case you will be able to discharge more. So hence discharge efficiency is higher if SOC is high. Charging efficiency is higher if SOC is low. What is meant by charging? You are inputting more energy into the system. That means you are asking the battery to hold more amount of charge. So if already the battery is having huge amount of SOC, huge amount of charge holding, then you cannot charge it anymore. So this part, okay, so lower efficiency if SOC is high, lower charging efficiency if SOC is high. You are already full, you have eaten something, you are already full, then also you are trying to eat. Okay, so you cannot eat in that case anymore. But if you are empty, so here you can check SOC, SOC is empty. In this case, when the battery is empty, at that time you can fill it with more charge. So there's a very simple, practical, common sense kind of a thing. How well you can give. If you are full, you can give better. That's why when SOC is maximum, discharge efficiency is highest. Whenever SOC is minimum, at that time charging efficiency is highest. Now you add this two graph. Very important thing. This is not only for battery. This is all for our life. Okay, how we should behave. So we should not binge on something that actually deteriorates our performance. Nothing, nowhere in our life we should be we can afford to be extremist. बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाई में होना भी उतना अच्छा नहीं है. So there always should be moderation. And these two things, if you are adding, you are getting a curve like this. Okay, this is the net cycle of charging and discharging. So when are you getting best efficiency for charging as well as discharging? You are finding when state of the charge is in the 50%. When the state of the charge is in the 50%, then you can give out charge with best efficiency. And whenever your SOC is in the 50%, you can charge with best efficiency. Okay, that's why I told you previously, whatever laptop I am having in my college, so there battery management is done by Lenovo. So I have connected it to the software, and Lenovo itself is doing all the charging and discharging, and it never allows my battery of laptop to go beyond 60%. So always my battery is charged maximum up to 60%, and as soon as 60% happens, it is not going to go anywhere beyond that. So it is this. Okay, maximum charging I'm doing up to half of the battery capacity, and again from there it is discharging, and again I'm taking it to there. So this is the peak performance. So peak performance of the battery for charging and discharging we are having when the state of charge is 50%. Very important concept. It is explained here. Terminal voltage as a function of the battery and energy stored in SOC is lower in discharging. So you're finding that when SOC is low, discharging is low. Okay, figure shows that the efficiency of the lead acid battery during discharging and charging. So these are the two graphs at the top. You add them and you're finding this is a net charge. So the battery has high discharging efficiency with high SOC and high charging efficiency with low SOC. So this is the charging graph, and right to left is the discharging graph. The net cycle efficiency has a maximum in the middle range. When is the charging discharging? When the battery happens, or when the battery has the best charging discharging. So when the battery charges best and discharges best. Answer is if the battery is 50% with 50% SOC, then it charges best and then it discharges best with highest efficiency. The net cycle efficiency has a maximum in the middle range. Therefore, the battery operation control unit and the HEV. So next we are going to see what is the battery management system. At that time, these factors are going to come. Okay. So battery operation control unit and HEV should control the battery SOC in the middle range to enhance the operating efficiency, and the temperature rise actually is minimized. So if you are going too much of SOC, the battery will get heated up. If you are too less of SOC, too much of charging, battery will get heated up. But if you are in the middle, that means SOC is 50%, the heating up part of the battery is least. And you have seen that guest lecture thing, she was only talking about keeping the battery temperature in check, because battery temperature rises, it gives rise to reaction again gives rise to temperature, so it's a thermal runway kind of a thing. Okay, so always we are supposed to keep the battery temperature in check. And if we want to keep the battery temperature in check, in that case the battery should be run, or state of charge should be there exactly at the middle, so 50%. So high temperature would damage the battery. So this is very important thing, energy efficiency. A 5 marks question with the understanding graph and all these things can be asked. So these are the 5 main parameters, okay, that we have checked for the batteries. So first is the electrochemical energy, then thermodynamic voltage, then battery energy, then battery energy capacity, power, and final is energy efficiency. Next, we are going to go for different battery technologies. So there are many technologies explained. So in 10 minutes, I don't think I'll be able to complete. So you please leave by 10:55. I'll complete this session and then I'll take a leave. Okay. So please don't hold yourself after 10:55. Please leave the session. As I'm recording it, I will record the whole session and I'll upload, because there is nothing much to teach in the different battery technologies. Only what are the special characteristic of every battery technology, that I'll be explaining. So EV and HEV batteries consist of lead acid battery, nickel battery, and lithium ion battery. So in nickel battery, there are four types: nickel iron, nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride, that is NiMH, and there is nickel zinc as well. Okay, so in lithium also there are two types, LiP and there is Li, lithium phosphorus and lithium ion. It seems that the cadmium based and lithium based batteries would be major candidates for EV and HEV. So lead acid battery has become old now. So all the nickel batteries and latest lithium ion batteries, they are the main contenders. Lead acid battery, successful commercial product. It was very successful. It has run a lot of vehicles, lot of applications for a century, and is still widely used as the electrical energy storage in the automotive field and other applications. Advantages: low cost, mature technology, and relatively it's a high power kind of a technology we find. Hence, they are attractive for application in HEV, and where high power and fast consideration is required. So the materials involved: lead oxide, so Pb and PbO2 are the electrodes, sulfuric acid is the electrolyte. They are rather low cost when compared with the more advanced counterparts. So there is no fancy components, there is no fancy materials inside the lead acid battery, very traditional kind of a thing. Cost is moderate, performance is also moderate. Disadvantage: the energy density is low. We have found it is in the range of 35 to 50, where nickel was having around 80. So the energy density is low, the mostly because of the high molecular weight of the lead. So the component itself is having high molecular weight. That's why reaction does not give very high output power. So the temperature characteristics are poor. Below 10 degrees centigrade, the specific power and specific energy are greatly reduced. So whenever you are trying to use this lead acid battery in cold region, cold countries, there we get very bad performance from it. So this aspect severely limits the application of this battery for the traction of vehicles operated in the cold climate. So in the cold climate, cold countries where cold cranking is required. What is meant by cold cranking? In 1 minute, we are trying to fetch 170 ampere because outside environment is very cold. So whenever the battery is starting, all the power has to be given by the battery to heat it up, heat the system up, as well as to create the starting torque. Okay, so cold cranking is very important in cold countries, but lead acid battery can give us good performance in cold countries. So more problem with lead acid battery: the presence of highly corrosive H2SO4. Okay, it's a hazardous kind of a thing. So it also produces self discharges reactants, so it produces hydrogen. Is another potential danger, since it has this gas is extremely flammable. So this hydrogen released due to reaction in case of lead acid battery, as we are using H2SO4. So H2SO4 itself is quite dangerous, and H2SO4 releases hydrogen, which is also inflammable. So if there is a accident, or there is a unwanted accident or something, so in that case there is a chance that whatever hydrogen is produced, that would blast, create a very big blast. So hydrogen emissions are also a problem for hermetically sealed batteries. So there are mainly two types of battery: when one where we are going to put water, and another one is we are not going to put water, so it is maintenance free. So sealed battery and not sealed battery. So for sealed batteries, there is a problem. Indeed, to provide a good level of protection against acid spills, it is necessary to seal the battery, thereby trapping and parasitic gauges are casing. So a lot of other casings and other things has to be fitted with the battery, that is increasing actually its weight, because we want to stop the spill of H2SO4. As a result, pressure may build up. So if you're sealing the battery, pressure may build up inside the battery, causes swelling and mechanical constraint, one of the casing and the sealing. So batteries previously, they were having a lot of problems. Nowadays batteries are no problem. So 2.5 years the batteries run seamlessly, and after that you just have to throw the battery. You cannot run the battery after 2.5 years. Okay, if the car is properly moving, okay, too much in use. So the lead in the electrodes is an environmental problem because of toxicity. So toxicity inside battery in nickel, cadmium also we will find main problem is the toxicity. So these are the terms you should remember. Okay, these are the things you should remember. What is the specific good thing? What is the specific bad thing about each of the battery components or each of the technology? So lead in the electrodes is an environmental problem because of its toxicity. The emission of lead in connection with the use of lead acid battery may occur during the fabrication of the batteries. So while we are fabricating, at the time lead might cause danger to whoever other designers or workers. So in case of the vehicle wreck, when the vehicle is in the damage or accident has occurred, in that case the spill of electrolyte, it creates some hazard, okay, during the disposal of the end of the battery life. So when the battery has gone bad, during we are disposing it, at the time the acids and the lead inside it is a problem. But never mind, what are the advantages of lead acid battery? So different lead acid battery with improved performance are being developed. So maximum we can get 400 watt hour per kg. That is the theoretical specific energy maximum. Very good thing. Rapid charging possible. So it has been accomplished with the research. Continuous research has improved the efficiency and theoretical specific energy of lead acid battery. Now this green paragraph is very important. So all the things you have to remember. So electro source horizon. So this is a battery which is sealed acid battery. So this is the name of a battery, specific type of lead acid battery. It gives high specific energy. So energy is given in 43 watt per kg, watt hour per kg. Power 285 watt per kg. So this unit of power is watt per kg. Unit of energy, specific energy, is watt hour per kg. So long life, almost over 800, 600 cycles of on-road EV. Rapid recharge capability, 50% capacity in 8 minutes and 100% in less than 30 minutes. So within 30 minutes, it can get charged maximum up to 100%. So low cost, so $2,000 to $3,000 is seems to be a low cost. Mechanical ruggedness, so robust structure of the horizontal plate, maintenance free, sealed battery technology, and environmental friendly. So all these things are positives of lead acid battery. Specific energy of the battery is increased through reduction of inactive materials such as the casing, current collector, separator. So these are the things which we are supposed to reduce because they are not taking part in the reaction. They are not generating energy. Okay. The lifetime has been increased over 50% at the expense of cost, however. Okay. The safety issue has been improved with electrochemical process designed to absorb the parasitic release of hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen release has been taken care. The spill of electrolyte has been taken care. So all these are due to design consideration. So continuous research, continuous design is giving this battery some edge over the others. So main point is it can produce maximum 40 watt hour per kg, that is given at the top, okay, which is not very high, which is kind of a moderate, but then also it's okay. Okay, but the cost is low, performance is okay, it is very rugged, it is not very small, light kind of a thing, very strong construction. But yes, specific energy, specific power, both are less. Let us go for the main technology, which are nickel based batteries. So nickel is lighter metal than lead and has very good electrochemical properties because it is very highly reactive, desirable for battery operations. There are four types: NiFe, NiZn, NiCd, and NiMH. We are going to see NiFe, NiCd, and NiMH, and we are going to see what are the points, positives, negatives. So nickel and iron. So nickel iron is the oldest technology and used for forklift trucks, mine locomotives, shuttle vehicles, railway locomotives, and motorized hand tanks trucks. So nickel oxyhydride is the positive and iron is the negative electrode. Now concentrated solution of potassium hydroxide. This is the electrolyte. Its nominal open circuit voltage is 1.37 volt. Most important thing in every battery, you should remember how much is the nominal open circuit voltage. For lead acid, it was 2.03. For nickel iron, it is 1.37 volt. Maximum or nominal open circuit voltage. So downside is nickel iron batteries suffer from gassing. That means huge amount of gas is produced because of reactions of the reactant, electrolytes, and electrodes. Equation is not given, but we should know that gas is produced and corrosion is there, self-discharge problem is there. So these batteries are complex due to the need to maintain the water level and the safe disposal of H2 and O2. So these are the two main problems, because whatever acids and all these things that we are using, disposal of that is a problem, and hydrogen oxygen is produced, that is again a problem, how to dispose that. So released during the discharge process. So NiFe, nickel iron battery performance suffers at low temperature, same as lead acid battery, but although less than lead acid battery. So lead acid battery is the worst at low temperature. So nickel iron is also bad at low temperature, but better than lead acid battery. So question can be asked, which of these two batteries, nickel iron and lead acid, can be used for low temperature application? Answer is both are bad, but at low temperature, nickel iron is little better performing compared to lead acid battery. So these are the things you should remember, because we have to design a car for a certain country or certain geographic area, and what is the temperature in that. So if the temperature is low and you are having only two options, lead acid as well as nickel iron, in that case which one you would go for? Answer is nickel iron. So both are equally bad at low temperature, but nickel iron is little better. Their greatest advantage are high power density compared with lead acid batteries. So nickel iron energy density is better than lead acid battery, and they are capable of withstanding 2000 deep discharges. We have seen the lead acid battery, it was having 600 cycles. Okay, that was a lifetime, but in this case, nickel iron, it is having 2000 deep discharges. That means 2000 cycles it can withstand. Nickel based battery, nickel cadmium, very important. So NiCd, it's called, CD stands for cadmium. It uses the same electrodes as nickel iron. So nickel is there, iron is there, so nickel hydroxide was there as a negative, iron was there at positive. So in combination with metallic cadmium, negative electrode. So with iron, we are using a metallic cadmium as the negative electrode. Its nominal open circuit voltage is 1.3 volt. In the previous case, you found it was nickel iron, it was 1.37 volt. Lead acid battery 2.03 volt. We are finding nickel cadmium is having 1.3 volt of open circuit voltage. All the positive points, that is how much is the maximum specific power, 220 watt per kg, long life cycle, 2000 cycle, high tolerance of electrical and mechanical abuse, very important point. So electrically and mechanically, you are trying to fetch too much of energy from the battery, but then also it can withstand. So nickel cadmium battery can withstand the electrical and mechanical abuse to a greater extent. A small voltage drop over a wide range of discharge current, rapid discharge capability. So almost 40 to 80%, it can discharge only in 18 minutes. That means it can give high discharge rate of current. So wide operating temperature, minus 40, minus 85 is withstandable, obviously in degree. Low self discharge rate, so less than 0.05% per day. That means automatically the battery don't get discharged. So discharge rate for any battery should be as low as possible. So this is having low discharge rate, less than 0.5%. Excellent long-term storage, negligible corrosion, and availability in a variety of size and designs. So these are all positives of nickel cadmium. Now what is the downside? High cost, relatively low cell voltage, because it is having only 1.3 volt. Lead acid is having 2.03 volt. Nickel iron is having 1.37 volt. So it is having very less cell voltage, and the carcinogenicity and environmental hazard. Carcinogenicity means whatever nickel cadmium components are there, that is cancerous. So carcinogenic means cancerous, and they are having environmental hazards. Okay, so there are mainly two types of NiCd battery. One is vented and one is sealed. Vented means the air and all these things can go out. Sealed means nothing can go out, nothing can come in. So the vented sintered plate, it has a high specific energy, superior high current rate, but it is more expensive. So the vented, that means oxygen and all other things can go out. That means it is having the aeration. It's having the gases and all these things can go out for vented. Okay, so in that case, it is having higher performance, higher specific energy, superior current, but it is more expensive. Whereas a sealed nickel cadmium battery prevents a buildup of pressure in the cell caused by the gassing during overcharge. So if there is overcharging, in that case, gassing occurs inside the battery. That means too much of gas is created inside the battery, and that doesn't have any place to go out because it is sealed. Okay, so as a result, the battery requires no maintenance. But sealed battery does not require any kind of maintenance. We don't need to put water into the sealed battery. So previous age, maybe around 25-30 years back, we used to put water inside the battery in a vehicle. But nowadays, we don't need to. We just put the battery, we use, and after 2.5-3 years, we just throw the battery, we take another one new. Major manufacturers. So last paragraph for all the coming slides is going to be very important, because this is giving you a market study. Major manufacturers of NiCd batteries for EV and HEV applications are Saft and Varta, as was told to you. Okay, so recent EVs powered by nickel cadmium battery have included the Chrysler T, Citroën, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Peugeot, and Renault Clio. Okay, so all these things are applications, and Saft and Varta, they are the main manufacturer of this nickel cadmium battery. So previously also, in case of nickel iron and other batteries, this name has come. In case of nickel cadmium also, this has come. Now the most important and latest nickel battery, which is actually since 1993 or 1992 it has come in the market, and since then it has grabbed the market. So this is NiMH. What is that? Nickel MH has come in the market in 1992. Its response is almost similar to NiCd, but NiMH is better. Okay, what is MH? We will see in shortly. Main difference with nickel CD is the use of hydrogen absorbed in a metal hydride. So that is MH, metal hydride. So nickel iron, nickel cadmium, and nickel metal hydride (MH). We are not using hydrogen directly, but hydrogen is used in case of as a metal hydride. So for the active negative electrode material, so NiMH. So MH is the active negative electrode material in place of CD. So in case of CD, we are using MH, that is metallic hydride. It has a specific energy, good specific energy, or higher specific energy than NiCd, and free of carcinogenicity. Cadmium was causing that cancer kind of a thing, carcinogenic thing, but MH is not going to have a carcinogenic thing. So NiMH has a nominal voltage of 1.2 volt, further less. Okay, so NiFe was having 1.37, NiCd is having 1.2, sorry 1.3, and NiMH is having 1.2 volt as the nominal voltage. But max specific energy is higher. It is 65 watt hour per kg. Specific power is further higher, 2000 watt per kg. A key component of NiMH battery is the hydrogen H2 storage metal alloy. So there are two metal alloys, AB5, AB2. If you want, you can Google on it. What is AB5 material? What is AB2 material? They are actually the H2 storage metal alloys. So that is actually used as a electrode material in case of NiMH battery. All the positive points are put here. So the technology is continuous under research and modification. Its advantages are its highest specific energy, 70 to 95 watt hour per kg. Highest specific power, it is 200 to 300 watt per kg among all the Ni based batteries. So you have seen that big chart, big table which was given. So NiMH battery is having highest specific energy and highest specific power. Environmental friendly. So because this is not having cadmium, so it is not carcinogenic, it is environmental friendly. A flat discharge profile, smaller voltage drop. So voltage drop should be as less as possible, and rapid recharge capability. So all these are factors which are helping us to select a battery for a specific application. That is, how much is the specific energy, specific power, whether it is environmental friendly or not, whether it is causing cancer or not, what is the discharge profile, what is the voltage drop, and what is the recharge profile. All these things are to be checked before we are selecting a battery. It's very costly. That is the main problem. It may also have a memory effect and the exothermic during charging. So it might be getting heated up while charging, and it might be having a memory. That means it's storing some energy. All those things are there. Okay, the NiMH battery is the important near-term choice for EV and HEV. Very important line. So NiMH battery is the one of the main contenders of NiMH, main contender for EV and HEV. Several battery manufacturers such as GM Avionics, GP, GS Panasonic, Saft, Varta have actively engaged in its development of this battery technology, especially for powering EV and HEV. So these are the manufacturers. So whenever we are trying to find jobs and all, if you are in battery management system, obviously these are the companies we should target. Okay, so General Motors, Avionics, GP, GS Panasonic, Saft, Varta, all those things, they are actually in research for producing of NiMH battery, mainly for EV and HEV. So since 1993, Avionics has installed NiMH battery in the Solectric GT Force EV for testing and demonstration. 19 kilowatt hour, so 19 kilowatt hour battery, so that is nothing but the energy. Okay, has delivered over 65 watt hour per kg, 130 kilometer per hour, acceleration of 0 to 80 kilometer per hour in 14 seconds. So these are for some of the car. How much is the specification of the battery which is given? So in a city driving range of 206 kilometer, Toyota and Honda have used the NiMH battery in their EV, Prius, Insight respectively. Okay, so this is who are the big players in the field of designing the battery, and which is the battery which is designed and in which car they have used it. And the big companies like Toyota and Honda, they are using this NIMH battery in their HEV, PRAS and Insight respectively. Lithium based batteries. Okay, so we have seen so far three batteries in nickel, so NiFe, NiMH and NiCd, and we are finding that NiMH is the best contender for future electric vehicle and hybrid electric vehicle. Now three more slides and we are going to talk about the very highly important and latest technology, that is a lithium technology of batteries. So this slide we will talk about LIP, and next two slides we will see advantage disadvantages feature of lithium ion battery. So lithium is the lightest of all metals and possesses very interesting characteristic from an electrochemical point of view. So why lithium batteries? Because it is lightest of all metals. So we want the batteries to be as light as possible and we want the batteries to produce as big energy as possible. So that's why lithium, because it's very light in weight, indeed it allows a very high thermodynamic voltage. Okay, we have seen what is thermodynamic voltage. It comes from gives free energy. So lightweight and high thermodynamic voltage. Okay, so that's why selection of lithium for batteries is very important. So this high thermodynamic voltage results in a very high specific energy and specific power. So now we are finding what is the factor actually that drives specific energy and specific power, and we are finding that the lightness of the metal and high thermodynamic voltage, these two are the main things which is actually creating high specific energy and high specific power. So there are two major technologies of the lithium based, one is LIP and one is LII. So LII is lithium ion. We'll see in the next slide. So first let us find out what is lithium P, LIP. So LIP stands for phosphorus, uses lithium metal and a transition metal intercalation oxide, so which is called as MyOZ, for negative and positive electrodes respectively. So lithium is the negative and MyOZ is the positive electrodes. So MyOZ has layered structure into which Li ions can be inserted and from which it can be removed. It's okay. A thin solid polymer electrolyte, so SPE is used here. So what is a solid polymer electrolyte? You have to Google, find out what are its application. So SPE offers merits of improved safety and flexibility in design. So solid polymer electrolyte, they are all derived material for research. Okay, so they are not existing, we have created it. So these are man-made components. Polymers and all these things are man-made components. Okay, and they are extensively is used in LIP battery. So on discharge, the Li ions formed at negative electrode migrate through the SPE. So this is the job of SPE, and are inserted into the crystal structure of positive electrode. So during discharge, the lithium ions actually negative electrode, it passes through SPE and then it gets inserted into the positive electrode on charge. So during charging, the process is reversed. So it leaves from positive electrode, passes through SPE and goes to the negative electrode. By using a lithium foil in the negative electrode, which is called as V6O13, that is vanadium oxide, as positive electrode, the LiSPE V6O13 cell is the most attractive one within the family of LiP. So it is not only lithium, it is not only the MyOZ, but there is another material which is called as vanadium oxide. So LiSPE V6O3, this is the structure. Okay. So lithium has the negative electrode and then MyOZ is the positive electrode. Instead we are using V6O13 and SPE in between. So SPE actually it is offering the merit of improved safety and flexibility in design. So there is a best choice in the lithium. So one of the best choice, that is LiSPE and vanadium oxide V6O13. So this is an attractive component in the lithium family. Now there are all the advantages and disadvantages. So it operates at a nominal voltage of 3 volt. Just check. Previously it was 2. It had come down to 2. The nominal voltage in case of sorry, not 2 but 1.2. Like this previous slide, you can check, it had come down to 1.2 volt NIMH. Okay, but in case of LIP, it has gone up to 3 volt and has a specific energy of 155 watt hour per kg. So this is also high. Specific power of 315 watt per kg. The corresponding advantages are a very low self-discharge rate. So self-discharge rate is very low. That is very good. Capability of fabrication in a variety of shapes and sizes and safe design. That's very good. So it is a drawback. So what is the drawback of LIP battery? Relatively weak low temperature performance due to the temperature dependence of its ion conductivity. That means temperature affects the LIP battery very badly. Okay, so whenever we are using lithium related batteries, we have to ensure that the temperature does not get too much high. Okay, so that was about LIP battery. Then we are going to see lithium ion battery. So the most advanced, used everywhere. So since the first announcement of Li battery in 1991, this battery technology has seen an unprecedented rise of what is now considered to be the most promising rechargeable battery of the future. So this is a very big line. Lithium ion is the most promising rechargeable battery technology for the future. So although in the stage of development, so this is not completely developed, lithium ion battery has already gained acceptance for EV and HEV application. So the lithium-ion battery uses a lithiated carbon intercalation material LiXC. Okay, so this is the for the negative electrode instead of metallic Li. So it is not using pure lithium, but lithium carbon intercalation material LiCX for the negative electrode instead of metallic Li, and LiCX is used as a positive electrode. Okay. So and a liquid organic solution or a solid polymer for the electrolyte. So there is another thing, a liquid organic solution or a solid polymer, okay, as an electrolyte. So spilling and all these things are not there. So these are the main constructional improvement of lithium ion battery. So what is the positive material, what is the negative material of the electrode, and what is the electrolyte. So solid polymer electrolyte is used sometimes in case of lithium ion battery. So on discharge, the lithium ion are released from negative electrode and they migrate via the electrolyte and are taken up at the positive electrode. So on charge, the process is reversed. So same we found in case of LIP battery, it passes through SP, goes to the V6O13, and on the charging it reverses. So on charge, the process is reversed. The positive electrode material have the advantage of stability in air, high voltage, and reversibility for the lithium intercalation reaction. Now this is the last slide. What we are finding is what is what is lithium and battery voltage. So voltage is 4 volt, unimaginable. So lead acid was giving us 2.03, nickel related batteries had been giving us as less as 1.2, LIP was giving us 3, and LII is giving us 4 volt open circuit voltage. Very important thing, remember this. Specific energy of 12 watt hour per kg and energy density of 200 watt hour per liter. I think this 12 watt hour per kg, I'll just check, maybe 120. A specific power of 260 watt per kg. So the cobalt based battery has higher specific energy and energy density. It is costlier and has increase of self discharge rate. So self discharge in this case is little higher. Manganese based type. So there is further improvement. The manganese based type has a lowest cost. So lithium ion with manganese based, and its specific energy and energy density is in between those of cobalt based and nickel based types. Okay, so lithium ion can be of cobalt based, lithium ion can be nickel based, lithium ion can be of manganese based. So manganese based is having its energy density, specific energy between those of cobalt based and nickel based types. So it is anticipated that the development of lithium ion battery will ultimately move to the manganese based type because the low cost, abundance, environmental friendliness, and manganese based material. So manganese based material is not carcinogenic, it is more environmental friendly, it is low cost, it is abundant in quantity, availability is too much high. Hence what they think is in future this manganese based lithium ion battery might be it might be overtaking all other lithium ion technologies. So this is a very important paragraph for what is the advancement in the lithium ion technology. Last thing, like who is using it and which companies are putting their money into research. So many battery manufacturers such as Saft, GS Hitachi, Panasonic, Sony, Vata have actively engaged in the development of lithium-ion battery. Starting in 1993, Saft has focused on the nickel lithium-ion battery. So that is what they were talking about. There is nickel, there is cobalt, there is manganese. Okay, and among them, manganese is having the highest promise. But anyway, Saft has focused on nickel-based lithium-ion battery. Recently, the SAFT reported the development of lithium-ion high-power batteries for HEV applications with a specific energy of 85 watt per kg and a specific power of 1350 watt per kg. SAFT also announced high energy batteries for EV application with 150 watt hour per kg and 420 watt per kg. So watt hour per kg is the energy and 420 watt per kg is the specific power. At 80% state of charge, 150 ampere and current and 30 seconds respectively. So this is who are the people who are investing in research. This is what is the latest research as far as SAFT, who has generated the latest model of lithium and battery. So this was the lecture for today. Mainly we completed the last three very high important specific characteristics for battery, that is specific energy, specific power. Then we had seen another very important aspect of this battery technology, that is which was called as, so this one, okay, so specific energy, specific power and energy efficiency. And then we had seen mainly 6 to 7 types of different batteries. So first we had seen lead acid battery, then nickel iron, nickel cadmium, nickel zinc we have not done, but nickel MH metal hydride. And finally, we had seen lithium phosphorus LiP and lithium ion battery. And who are the people who are investing in the research, and what kind of battery models are being produced for future use. All those things we have studied. Now only one thing is remaining in battery, that is the battery management system. Okay, so I will not take it as a separate lecture. I will record that lecture and I'll upload it to you. But before that, today I will upload some 5 to 6 websites for battery management system. So they are YouTube sites. Please listen to all those things and then we can have a discussion on battery management system. I will record that lecture separately and upload in your Google Classroom. So that's all from my side now. If you're having any doubt, you can post in the group. Else, we are going to stop now. Thank you.